Oh my God, is that the Faces of the Future? Welcome to episode 74 of the Faces of the Future podcast. It's your boy Millz.
It's your boy Shann.
It's your boy, man. Some Moose. What's good? What's good?
What's good? How y'all doing today, man? How y'all doing today? Did you just try to sing that, Joe?
And the deep voice, the deep voice intro.
What's the monotone?
Yeah, y'all gotta stop hating on my voice.
That's the deep voice intro.
That's the Moose. That's the Moose morning voice. You know what I'm saying? We record a little early, so Moose try to put his morning voice on like he talking to the phone to one of the shorties or something like that.
I ain't got no shorty, so I don't know what y'all talking about.
He's here. I ain't got no shorty, so I don't know what you talking about. He be like, "What's good? It's your boy Moose." You know what I'm saying? Shorty, how you doing this morning? You know what I'm saying?
I ain't
I'm
got no
chilling.
shorties. I wish I knew what y'all talking about.
Respect. You know what I'm saying? We had to take it to the West Coast a little bit. How y'all rocking with?
Oh, that was fire, bro.
Larry
Especially that
June
second
was that
shit.
Yeah. Y'all like the first one or the second one better?
Larry June was that nigga. I mean, Dom Kennedy's cool.
Yeah.
Kennedy's cool. But
There's both vibes though.
Dom Kennedy's album, bro. The whole time I was in LA, I was in LA for like 10 days or whatever, working and stuff at a camp. When his album dropped when I was out there, me and my boy, shout out Shooter Steve, he helped me record and shoot a lot of podcasts out there. We was just vibing to it the whole time. You feel me? But I mean, there's been that little battle between Dom Kennedy and Larry June, like who's the better in that rap style. You feel me? Like they both have like that chill, laid back. They kind of just talking to you while you listen to their music with the cool vibes in the background. But
And the West Coast sound is so different, bro,
Yeah.
than the East Coast. You know, you hear the guitars and it's like a funky jazz type of vibe
Yeah.
still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll say that Dom Kennedy's cool. I mean, I think that. I mean, obviously, I don't know his label situation, manager situation, whatever. I mean, he probably decided to stay a little bit more underground. But I would say that outside of that, you know, he was. I don't want to say like the groundbreaker for it, but you know, he was one of the first niggas that did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Larry June kind of just came in and just
Yeah.
did what he did. You know what I'm saying? Because Dom Kennedy wasn't around when we was in high school. We was like, yo, this nigga gonna blow. You know what I'm saying? And then it kind of just fizzled out.
Yeah, he was there like coming up like what Nip was coming up.
Yeah.
Same type, like camp, that type of thing. But I just like the thing I like about Larry June though is his branding, bro. His branding is like immaculate. Like he be saying healthy though. I say healthy, you feel me? Like you got healthy about that organic stuff, you feel me? And it's just like you said, the vibes of the music on the West Coast is just different.
Yeah, you can hear the saxophones and stuff, man. I love that. It's definitely like a, you know, West Coasters always stay true to their roots when it comes to that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Moose, 'cause I know like you're more in tune to like the producers and stuff like that. Which regional producers do you like better? I don't want to jump into music, but just since we're talking about like the West Coast and their vibes and stuff like that, do you like the vibe of like the West Coast producers and the way they implement their music and their instruments, or do you like the East Coast versus like the South?
It really depends on what I'm in the mood for, because that's a very loaded question. Because it's like I only like certain people for certain things. Like if I want to listen like Shoreline Mafia, Shorty, stuff like that, then yeah, I'm gonna take West Coast. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm gonna listen to East Coast, I'm gonna listen to East Coast like people like Hit Boy. Who else? Why can I not think of any producers?
Hit Boy's from the West Coast, ain't he?
Is he?
Yeah,
I think
Hit
he might
Boy's
be.
from the West Coast.
Could be wrong. Yeah, if not, I mean he has more of an East Coast sound. If you get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, we talk about like Virginia. They loaded with the producers. Over
I mean,
here,
yeah. If you want to go down that road, then yeah, nah. Of course, I'm always Pharrell. To me, is the best producer ever created. But I mean, or
you said ever created?
yes, ever created. Like
The Neptunes?
no, Pharrell.
Pharrell.
You can't just not.
No, I was gonna say that. No, because I was about to
give.
give. Let me land. I was gonna say Pharrell's the best producer like ever, but the Neptunes are probably one of the greatest artists, like probably, I mean, not the artist, but one of the greatest producers ever. Because, I mean,
Their discography is off the charts.
not even this, but also at the same time,
Collection is crazy.
not even just that. I mean that, and you also got to understand, like, I think this statistic had always stuck out to me as how good they were and how popular they were. Like, at a certain point, I think it was like 60%
Yeah.
of, like, everything on the radio during
Damn.
that time was produced at some point by the Neptunes.
Everybody wanted to work with them, and they were teenagers, fresh out of high school.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Him, Timbaland.
Yeah, Timbaland too. That's his area.
Missy Elliott's from out there.
Yep.
I would say Virginia will probably have the best producers to me ever, because it's like they produced both Timbaland and Pharrell both produced two of my favorite R&B/pop albums.
Which were?
Future Sex Love Sounds.
Ooh,
And
that's a good.
Future Sex Love Sounds and
That's a
Justin
good
Timberlake's other album. I forgot what the shit's called off the top of my head. Pharrell produced that album. And then Timbaland produced, obviously he had Aaliyah. And then Pharrell is just Pharrell.
And Missy too.
He did, yeah, and Missy.
That's a nice pocket of talent because you got, Chris Brown's also from down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
From down there. Apparently, they all knew each other.
Trey Songz. You know what I mean?
VA is like a hotbed for musical talent for sure.
It was craziest thing when you heard the when Pusha T was talking about how his older brother Malice was cool with like Timberland and Pharrell and all them, and they all used to go. They were all like in the same vicinity, and Malice used to go and rap with Timberland and Pharrell. And then they ain't really not respect Pusha, but Pusha was still a young boy when he was there, and he started going around when he started rapping. He started respecting him. I thought that story was so cool. Like,
and they made that grinding beat. That's a classic,
bro.
That might be one of the
best beats.
That's one of Pharrell's best beats. That's one of the most classic hip hop beats ever.
Because you know what I'm saying, at the lunch table, everybody was trying.
Everybody, because that's an easy one to play. You know what I mean?
Facts. But yeah, man. I just want to jump into that. I don't want to jump into music too much, but that was a good little dialogue. Let's jump into some current event news. A lot of stuff unfolded over this past week since
it's been a crazy week.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. Let's start off with rest in peace to Virgil Abloh. He's the I said his name right.
Abloh, yeah.
Abloh. Virgil. Okay, Virgil Abloh. He passed away of cancer. He's battling cancer privately. And they said for the last few years he's been battling.
8 years.
8? It was 8?
Yeah.
Wow. And the first thing that came to my mind is just like when everybody's making fun of him for the $50 donation thing, you know what I'm saying? And the same thing kind of happened with like Chadwick Boseman. People making fun of him, like how skinny he was. And people don't know like the silent battles that people are fighting every day. Mm-hmm. But side note off of that is just like what Virgil meant to like black culture, the fashion culture, and music culture in general. His legacy won't last forever. So when you guys heard that news, because it was random news out of anywhere, it just Louis Vuitton just announced it and people were just in shock. What did you guys think when you guys first heard it?
Well, my heart dropped because I'm like, damn, we lost another influencer, a creator, someone that people look up to, someone that's had like a major impact on the culture of today. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, again, you see when somebody like this passes, you see the responses that he get from people and that are famous. And it's like, man, like, that just shows you how big his impact really was. All the people that was, giving their condolences is like, dang, we lost another one, bro.
I
don't think people actually know how influential Virgil was to the culture. Virgil started out as a DJ.
Yep.
He started out as a DJ. Not only that, he was the one, I don't want to say he discovered Lil Uzi, but, he saw the talent in Lil Uzi. That's why him and Lil Uzi are such close friends. He was all around in the UK, and you know how I feel about the UK and they scene. Not for that, he also almost every single groundbreaking album that we saw that when hip hop was shifting, he had an influence on it where he either designed it or he, for music wise, he designed most of the most groundbreaking album covers we have. Whether it's Watch the Throne, he was with Kanye. When Kanye disappeared, when he was making My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and ASAP Rocky's first album, Long Live ASAP.
What's the one Jay-Z and Kanye?
Watch the Throne.
Yeah.
And then he had Lil Uzi Love Is Rage 2, which is also another groundbreaking album. And it's like, he has so much influence in the music culture, and we don't really know that. And then going back to like the Tumblr phase, back when we all used to be in high school from Tumblr, he literally made Pyrex Vision. He was a part of Pyrex Vision. He's the reason. Him, ASAP Rocky, Ian Connor, Justine Scott, all them people are part of the reason why. No matter what anybody says, he's part of the reason why AF1s came back in style the way that they did. We all know AF1s are classics. But the way people started wearing them again from that phase on was because of Pyrex Vision. Yeah. ASAP Rocky was a part of the whole ASAP mob was there. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's really interesting because when you actually go back and look at your history about how much he's done, when you kind of see him going from him starting Pyrex Vision, which are a bunch of Tumblr kids, you know what I'm saying, to now him, ASAP, everyone else coming together and coming to their own, it's really interesting to see how much he's been a part of this culture, even with him DJing, even with him doing treatments for people's music videos like Big Sean, Kanye, ASAP rocking the ASAP mob. Like, it's really interesting. And for now, to him even just go back into fashion again with the Off-White brand and him influencing that and collaborating with obviously one of the biggest brands in black culture, which is Jordan. Yeah. It's really remarkable to see that. And it's also interesting because a lot of people don't look at it like this. It's like Louis Vuitton also has a very big impact on Black culture, and for him to be now the creative director of that, and him applying a lot of the Black culture and the stuff that we see as individuals that we think is cool to the Louis Vuitton brand, it made things so interesting because, not for nothing, you have an African man who came in, who did everything that he did, gave us colors, different types of hues on how it looks well on Black skin from all different types of ranges and undertones that we have. And I just think it's a beautiful thing. And I think that it's even more beautiful to see that, one, a lot of people actually acknowledge Virgil's influence on the culture, whether if it's Black or white or whatever race you are. Two, the fact that a lot of people are also now realizing how much impact he had in music. And three, just the fact of having a Black man, African man, come up and influence us in this many ways, and he actually gets his flowers the way that he should get his flowers. So rest in peace to Virgil Abloh. You know, my African brother. As always, you know, you've really been an influence on everybody, ranging from DJs all the way down to, you know, people and how they wear their clothes today. You know, rest in peace to him, and I know his legacy is gonna live on forever.
You're just so young, man. That's really one of the worst parts about it. You know. So young, so much more life, so many more things to create ahead of him, and it's like, you know, the good die young, man, and it's sad. You know, it's sad. You know, the culture definitely took a hit, you know, because he's not a replaceable dude, one of a kind guy.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just pray for his family, you know, and you hate to hear that somebody was going through that for the last 8 years, and for him to be doing all that he did while dealing with treatment just shows you, you know, how much of a gift he actually was. You know what I mean? It says a lot to be able to accomplish all of that while going through treatments, no matter how intense or not intense it is. You know, that's still something major. You know, so it's just sad. You know what I mean?
And then on top of that, is that moment when he did his first fashion show for Louis Vuitton.
Yep, I remember that.
And him and Kanye, when they met, because that's something that they've been fighting for like the longest time. And Millz, you're somebody that's like tapped into that scene like a lot, and you pay attention to a lot that's going on. So it's like knowing that he was fighting the battle he was fighting, and they finally accomplished something that they've been fighting so hard for while he was going through that. It makes even more sense why the emotion was there. Two, it's just like, damn, I'm battling this, and I reached my, you know what I'm saying, I reached the goal that I've set out for myself.
Yep.
And I just want to ask you this, though, because he's an African man. How do you feel as being an African man as well, seeing someone from your culture like climb the ladder the way he did, have an impact on the culture the way he did? I know you gave your thoughts and your sentiments, but just from a different perspective, outside of like fashion, but just from the African perspective, like what type of icon or what type of inspiration was he like to you or the people like in your culture?
For me specifically, I'll speak for myself. For me specifically, like, you guys know that I'm a creative person regardless of all the other stuff that I'm trying to do. Like, I'm a creative person. I've always been a creative person since I was young, you know, and one of the biggest things that we always have conversations about as African children is like the conversation of, oh, your parents only allow you to be a lawyer. You're either a lawyer, doctor, engineer, or you're a failure, right? That's the common joke, right? And it's really interesting to see somebody who moved to the beat of their own drum, and, you know, they ended up doing something that's so groundbreaking, because it's like, I'm pretty sure, I could probably almost guarantee you that when he told his parents that he wanted to DJ, his parents probably looked at him crazy. They're like, oh, why do you want to DJ? Like, that doesn't make you money. That doesn't do this. And it's like, you know, one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of African children is that they have a vision, and they have a lot of stories to tell from their own unique perspectives, even though we all have very similar stories. And I think that for me, why that influenced me so much is because of that, because I always believe in the greater theme of storytelling. And so for him, he's told this story where it's like, I'm African. I wasn't an engineer. I wasn't a lawyer. I wasn't a doctor, and I made it. And not only did I make it into one of the highest levels of creativity ever. So for that, I just think it's really beautiful that, you know, there's a lot of younger kids that look up to him that see that. because it's like now when we look at where African culture is in terms of music, in terms of fashion, in terms of everything, we see that a lot of people are becoming more accepting of that. Not just people from outside, but people in the country, where it's like, people are actually acknowledging our culture as something that's very, very iconic and it's something special. And for Virgil to now use those influences where it comes from bright colors and different hues to now influence things on Nike Dunks, to now influence those things on off-white sneakers or Jordan sneakers is beautiful. And it inspires me to show that you just be yourself as an African man or African woman or African creative, and just do what you have to do in order to show who you are. Because all Africans at the end of the day, African Americans, we're all creative. We all have a story to tell. We all know that we have rhythm, all that stuff. Like, there's a bit of creativity in all of us, whether you're black, whether you're from America or Africa. The creativity for us is there. Like, we were born creative. Like, not gonna go into my super crazy artistic rant, but God literally made us in Africa. So we were the basis of creativity. So for us to now have that and now see a man just influence the shit the way that he did, it's beautiful, and it inspires me to just be myself. Even me now, I be wearing colors out the wazoo. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah.
Pulling it off too.
Yeah, Moose be fly, bro.
And that's what I mean. It's like, you gotta understand. You gotta understand that's the number one thing. Like, you gotta show your culture, show who you are in a lot of different ways. And for me, it's like just showing color. Africans love color. You know what I'm saying? My mom always loves color. My dad, he likes his hues. You know what I mean? So it's like, you gotta show that, because that's who we are. African, like, what. I don't want to rant too much, but I guess one of the beautiful things about African Americans and Africans that we don't understand is our skin tone is just is so beautiful. It's not just light skin and brown skin. It's like you have a dark skinned man with blue undertones or red undertones or green undertones. You have a light skinned person with yellow undertones or orange undertones. It's like when you edit in Photoshop, a lot of people, to all my editors in Photoshop, if you go to Lightroom or Photoshop, what you'll notice, actually go to Lightroom, you'll notice that there's a little button with the saturation thing. You'll notice the colors. There's a little button there that lets you notice the hue. If you go to every single black person on this earth, I guarantee you'll have different hues for every single person. And you have to change it like that.
Some colors really make your skin pop.
And it makes your skin pop. And that's the number one thing I'm saying is, like, you have to show that. And I think going back to just bring it all together is that Virgil showed that in many different ways. You know what I mean? Just the different hues of, like, the Nike Dunks. You know what I mean? And it's just it's a beautiful thing, And I think to answer your question, it inspires me just to be yourself. I'm an African creative, Miles, you are African American creative. Shann, you're African American creative. Just be yourself and just be who you are, and it's gonna come for you. It's gonna come for us, So yeah, that's all I gotta say on that.
That's well said. That's well said. Once again, we'll close that segment with rest in peace, Virgil. Man, you inspired us all, and there'll never be one like you.
Facts.
So, generational talent. Let's move into some other news that happened over this past week or two. Ahmaud Arbery's killers were sentenced.
Jail.
Send them to the gulag.
When he said that, we need like a cell door closing drop.
Yeah, we need the cell door. Send them to the gulag. Send them to the gulag. So,
why they gotta have that on the TV? We'll get to that later.
So it was a father and son, and then their friend, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And I think the father and son got sentenced to all counts. It was I think it was murder, felony murder, you name it. They got sentenced to it. And then I think the friend, he got sentenced to everything except like one count.
Right.
So they're gonna be in jail probably forever.
Good.
And it's
Did they get sent? They didn't get sentenced.
They get sentenced.
They got charged.
The verdict.
The sentencing is gonna come in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, my terminology messed up. But yeah, so I just want to give a round of applause for that because they finally got it right. So Will started clapping. So I mean, I'm not gonna call it a win, but it's going in the right direction that we finally, you know what I'm saying, we're continuing. I think it's continued. I'm not gonna call it a trend, but we're continuing to see people get the justice slowly but surely. I don't want to speak too soon. I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm saying we're starting to get little wins. I said.
I mean, yeah. I mean, those are the kind of cases, right? You see that, and it's like, all right, this is obvious.
Yeah.
Clear cut. What should be going on? Because you see the video, and it's like, what is that, yo?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck did I just watch?
And that was why I was saying I don't want to speak too, like you said.
I said I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm saying it's a little win though.
But let me ask y'all this:
small win, bro.
If they would have came back and said that they was not guilty, would y'all have been surprised?
No.
With that footage, I probably would have been surprised.
No,
I wouldn't have been surprised.
No.
and I'll tell you why, right?
All right.
And I was talking to Julian about this. Shout out to Julian Dorsey on the Trendfire podcast. Like, what you got to understand is that, like, when we do all these things, when we do these court cases, like, the issue with these court cases is that they try to be as unbiased as possible, right? But
Put the air quotes.
Yeah.
Just put the air quotes.
unbiased as possible. But the biggest thing that we all know is that, like, this country has been built unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, now imagine these 3 white guys came down and hunted. I'm gonna say hunted because that's exactly what they
hunted
did.
him.
They
You
hunted
said
him
use the right
down.
terminology.
And it's like, now you have to bring Sally, Susan, Carl, and these other people,
Billy Bob.
yeah, who was doing dinner, who was having dinner with their kids last week. You know, granted, they probably their grandpa or their great grandpa is probably racist as hell. Probably went to a couple white supremacist meetings when they were younger.
South here.
Yeah, and now next thing you know, they're influenced by their grandparents. They gotta go down and do a case about watching 3 white guys execute a black man.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, without that video, their bias is already there. You know what I mean? Like, already when you go into a court case, your bias from your reference point is already there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Thank God for the video.
yeah,
Thank
and
God
so
for the
That would have
it's
changed.
like,
That would have
the
changed.
video.
A lot of shit.
If you want me to be honest, like, the video is supposed to show or supposed to give a neutral type of bias, where it's like, okay, this is exactly what happened. He was going for a run, wherever he stopped doesn't matter, and he still got ran down and killed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, the biggest thing that's important about that is why we shouldn't count this is because you got to understand, it's like, yeah, they got it right. But at the same time, what's still not right is that there's still a bunch of bias that we still have to get rid of from all these old ass people. Because if
I
not,
agree with that.
we're still gonna get into a case where some shit's gonna happen, and then right under the table, they're gonna sit here and not sentence them, and then we're gonna be back
bro.
to square one. You know what I mean?
People forget
No,
shit
yeah,
like
yeah.
forget shit like the fucking civil rights was only like 40 fucking years ago. You know what I mean? So a lot of them people that were kids during that time, or the adults now,
No, facts.
or the
Facts.
grandparents and aunts and uncles and shit. So I mean,
And all the judges,
That's
all the judges, all the people that are in power,
big lawyers.
But
you know what I mean?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a win. Like, it's something we should be jumping.
No,
for
it is a
joy.
win though. It is a win.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not something we should be jumping for joy about, essentially. But yes and no. But like, to your point, Moose, what I'm saying is that, like, we're seeing things get right for once.
Yeah,
But
You
we
feel me?
small victories.
It's a small, even if you don't think it's something major, it's a small victory. You feel me? In the sense that I do agree that there's a lot of things that still need to be fixed.
Yeah.
But when you ask the question about would I have been surprised if those people got off after all that footage came, I personally been surprised, because it's like, it's inconclusive. I mean, is that the right word? Conclusive?
Yeah.
Conclusive evidence that it's like, there's no way in hell that someone should get off after you watch the video, the cell phone video that the guy recorded itself, showing them hunting a black man, killing him, and when there was no reason to do so. So if they would have gone off, yes, I would have been surprised if they got charged with nothing.
But that's my thing though. It's like, my thing is that I don't think if that we were in this pandemic that story would have been different. I feel like the story would have been a lot different.
How so?
Because my thing is that, it's like I said, when these court cases tell a story, and it's like, during that time of when all this stuff happened, everybody was home.
Okay.
So my thing is that the only reason why, in my opinion, I feel that they went to jail is because everybody was home and they seen that shit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with George Floyd.
Yeah.
I don't think
was everybody home when George Floyd? I think everybody, that was pre-pandemic George Floyd.
No, that was beginning pandemic.
But I'm saying we weren't in lockdown is what I'm trying to say, because
Yes,
everybody
we
was
were.
outside.
We were in lockdown.
outside.
But people were only outside because niggas was protesting.
I'm talking about when the George Floyd thing happened, when he died on camera.
I'm looking it up.
100. There's a bunch of people just standing around outside. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah,
That's
but
what I'm
I
saying
think
when the incident happened. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I think it's not necessarily because the pandemic. People said, I think it's just the magnitude of social media is what blew that up.
But that's what I'm saying though. But would that video have blown up if in 2019 the way that it did now? I don't think it would have blown up the way that it did now if they dropped that video third.
You talking about George Floyd?
Yeah.
I see what he's saying, because I remember during that time, like, everything was slow. Like, I remember waking up, like, for work, like, I was only working like half a day at that point.
Yeah.
And it was like, I remember, like, that was the first thing I saw when I woke up for like that 10-minute stretch, and it was on TV. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was seeing it because everybody was home. You
That's
know
what
I mean?
I'm saying. It's like, you got, like, and that's why I'm saying it the way I'm saying. It's like, nothing else was really happening. Like nothing else really happened when the pandemic, when everybody started closing shit down. And why I'm saying that is because nothing else happened, and you see that shit happen, they have no choice because it's news. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, you have to show it. Yeah. So everybody has to see it.
I agree with
that.
Like
if there was some other shit that was going on, obviously besides 45 talking bullshit, it's like if other shit was going on, they probably wouldn't have shown it as often as they did.
Yeah, that might have been.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like
I don't know if it would have been a regular thing because like just the footage. I think it's.
I know,
that's
but
what I'm saying.
But I think he's saying if it wasn't during the time, it might have been just another black dude getting killed. That it might have been a video popping off, but it wouldn't have been the kind of response that it would have been if niggas wasn't in the crib.
I don't know.
It could go either way.
I get why it's amplified.
It could go either way.
I'm not going to say that it wouldn't be as amplified. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I'm saying that the circumstance of that situation of the cop killing somebody on live camera, what it was, the way he did. I think that it still would have been a big deal.
Yeah, because of like you saying, because of the way it happened.
The way
him
it
having
happened,
his
who it was.
neck.
I think that
but
that situation would have still been as magnified as it was.
And I'm saying this because I look at it like look at Alton Sterling who was selling cigarettes on the corner. He was selling cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even think they showed that video as often as they showed the George Floyd.
They showed
video.
that John. Alton Sterling, the big boy that got chokehold?
Yeah.
That was all over the news, right? That was
you think, but I don't think
and he got choked by like 12
but I'm saying, but I guess I'm saying it as it's one of those things that I mean, it was shown. I'm not saying it wasn't shown, but the way George Floyd was like, you couldn't escape George Floyd. Like at least on some certain news channels, you could escape Alton Sterling. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, for real. I just think that because everybody was home and because nothing else was really happening, it was either COVID or some other shit. You know what I mean? And since it wasn't COVID and it was something else that happened, well, it's like, well, it's here. We might as well show it. Shit. You know?
And especially because during that time, everything was all about politics because it was the whole political thing with COVID. Oh, this is the political thing. This side wants this. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, this side wants this side want that. Then it's like, all right, well, look at who we have in office now. Like, what's gonna happen now? So it was either COVID or it was politics that was being talked during that time.
Do you think the COVID thing amplified it or 45 being in office amplified it?
COVID amplified it because again, everybody was in the house, everybody was chilling. And remember, one of the things that was going on during that time was with all the protests and the riots. It was like, all right, the COVID numbers are going to surge because everybody's out. There wasn't no vaccines available, and the COVID was in what, March or April, and we went to lockdown in March. That was followed right after. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that was like a peak time. It was during the summertime when it got hot. So you know the pandemic was the big talk of the time. It was what was going on in our world. So that definitely amplified shit because everybody was in the crib. You remember seeing them protests across the country, across the world.
Yeah, facts.
You know?
Facts.
Yeah, I was told not to go to a protest because they were like, they really might snipe you. And the funniest thing is
that was happening though. Niggas was getting tear gas.
When I was at my ex's house, I was like, yo, I'm about to go to Philly to protest. Because I was telling him like, I'm about to go to Philly to protest. And it was funny because I think that might have been around the time when there was tear gas and everybody. I don't know if you remember that video when they had trapped everybody in. They started. That was the day I was gonna go. And she's like, yo, don't go. Cause she was like, yo, do not go because I do not want to hear you on the news or some shit happening to you. And I was like,
I had my car in the shop in South Philly at that time, and my shit was there for like an extra 3 weeks because he was like, yo, I can't even go to work because everybody's out here in the streets like protesting. So my car was in the shop for like another 3 weeks.
Does that time seem like it was so long ago?
No. That shit
it feels like a minute.
It feels like
it wasn't that long ago.
To me, it feels like that was a moment in time that I remember like it was yesterday because like it was so much going on throughout that whole like stretch of time. Like there were so many things happening. Like that was really a time in society where it was like everybody was picking a side and everyone was getting judged based off of the side that they picked.
Oh yeah,
rightfully,
you know there was a huge divide because you had the side of people that thought, oh well, he was resisting arrest, he's a drug dealer, he's this and that. You know, this is justified by the police. And you had the other side, you know, how can you guys sit here and be okay with something like that happening?
I think there was a lot of that point in time, the beginning of COVID, like you guys said, and I'll concede to that argument. I'll agree with you now that you guys explain it. There was division between the presidency at that time. You had whose side were you on, like with the Black Lives Matter thing, and then like COVID thing was about to come up when the vaccine was about to stop out. It was like it was a big division in the. Do you think there will ever be like a moment in time like that again, like in our lifetime, all that
no.
height of everything?
No. I don't know.
No, because that was
it was racial, it was political. You know, it was your beliefs, your morals, everything about a person was coming into question at that point. Like, people were approaching it like, the way you feel about this says a lot about who you are as a person, right? And everybody was categorizing everybody as to, how do you, which side you took. You know what I mean? It was either you was racist or you wasn't, what I mean, kind of thing. I mean, I remember being a crazy time. I remember telling y'all that, I had a meeting with my chapter, with my football chapter, and that was even a big topic then. Yeah. But that was a time that was something that had to be talked about.
It had to be.
It had to be addressed. You know what I mean? It had to be talked about. It had to be addressed. And even if it was one of the things like, listen, we're here at work. We're not going to talk about. We understand what's going on, but this isn't the place to talk about.
Were people talking about it in your workplace?
Definitely. Yeah. Hell yeah.
They had brought what's that? The dude that was crying when Joe Biden won the presidency.
Who was crying?
You don't remember that dude that was crying when Joe Biden won the presidency on CNN? Van Jones, yeah. Yeah, they had brought
performative ass shit.
Bro, they brought him in. They brought him into work, and I'm looking, and the next thing you know, like, he said that he was married to a white woman. I clicked out the meeting. I was like, all right, bro, I don't need to hear this no more. Like,
because you were a law firm, so they probably talking about that, like, crazy,
they were talking about that because I was working for a securities law firm, and then they started talking about all that, and they brought him in. He was like, yo, I'm married to a white woman. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm logging out.
What a time that was. I remember me and Millz coming on the pod and just that day and just being.
That was one of our best pods we
ever tried. Bro, and that was a long talk of just about. That was an entire episode. I was just expressing our feelings.
There was no music.
Nothing, bro.
There was nothing.
It was like a somber mood. I remember having a conversation with my parents and like my mom breaking down because she's like, I be worried about this shit every time you walk out the fucking door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That was a time when all of that shit was going on where, again, you had to have the conversation of with your parents, what to do when you get pulled over by a cop. How to handle shit. So it was just a time where shit was just, it wasn't right. Everything wasn't right, man. Motherfuckers was looting and rioting. Yeah. It was just a crazy time, bro. It was a crazy time.
I remember that too, because that was the very first time. I know this sounds bad me saying this, but that was the very first time where I had clocked into like a Tuesday service at my church. Yeah. And like, for me, like my church, I'm not gonna say they're bad people, but they're very, very religious.
Yeah, right.
And so for me, I was not, when I was in there and they're like, yo, no, we gotta do this with like, with the love of Christ. And I was like, yo, respectfully, Reverend, like, we not doing that shit. Like, nah, this is not the time for that. Like, and I think like at that time I was like, yeah, nah, we're not here for that, because we sat down, and this is kind of, I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but this is where I had a lot of issues with a lot of pastors as well, where it's like, this was another thing that you saw, where a lot of the mega churches, where the white mega churches will talk about, oh my gosh, like, they would low-key support the police and say, they're not bad people, they're not doing their job. And you had the black churches and a lot of black churches speaking like this, and then there was the Michael Todd saying, oh, well, we can't beat racism without love and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, no.
What a time,
and it's like one of the best things.
Anytime politics come into church, like,
one of the
that
best
was also a time when the president was like, well, when the looting starts, shooting starts.
Yeah.
But then when motherfuckers stormed the Capitol, crickets. You know what I'm saying?
And
so that was a crazy time.
And I think for me at that time when I was listening to a whole bunch of sermons and stuff like that, one of the best sermons I heard was definitely from obviously my mentor, because that's an amazing man, Bishop Cedric Millz. Shout out to him. He was expressing it, and this was the first time. And I always use this argument now about when I talk about the Bible. It's like, yo, this was that was the very first time I've ever heard anybody dissect racism and discriminatory issues in the Bible. And I was watching the sermon on my phone, and I just dropped my phone. I just left, bro, because it was nuts. Because I'm like, excuse me if he ever hears, like, damn, this nigga right. I'm like, damn. Like, he broke it down in such a way when you express, like, he was like, yo, even Jesus' disciples practice discriminatory practices, and they checked each other. So how are you going to sit here and now tell me that as a man of God, you're going to sit here and talk about race and say race doesn't matter, and then now this is directly in the Bible. Now you contradicting the Bible. I said, nah, man, this guy's different. But point is that, like, that was the very first time where, like, for me as a religious person, I heard somebody break that down in such a way I was like, you know what? Honestly, if it wasn't for people like him, I probably would have been like, you know what, I'm not too big on Christianity. But it's stuff like that makes you really know that there are people that pay attention to race and to pay attention to religion and understanding the racial undertones for that, It was really interesting.
Yeah, now as I reflect on, like, because it's still, I mean, we're kind of like, I'm not going to call it the back end, but it's kind of like died down a little bit. Like, we were at, like, that was the peak moment.
Yeah.
It's like, now when you look back in history, when we go back in time, the same way that people talk about, like, the Great Depression, the Rodney King beatings, all that stuff. Like
that was a
this
moment,
is
bro.
gonna be like we're gonna tell our kids like, yo, I was there for that. Like I was there. I was at the riots, the protests, and all that stuff. I lived through, and it's just crazy.
That was one of them ones of our generation. It was Trayvon, which I think would have been magnified even more if social media was what it was today, because that was a teenager.
Yeah.
So that would have been even crazier, I think, because I remember just real quick when that happened and the verdict came out that he was not guilty.
We were in high school still.
We were just like beginning college when the sentencing happened.
He's the same age as me. Like I think he was. What year was 2012?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was a freshman.
Yeah.
I remember being home. I was with the squad. We was out, and my parents was like, "Yo, I don't think y'all should go to Philly tonight because you don't know what's going to happen when it." So I think that would have been magnified. So that was a moment for us, and then the George Floyd was a moment for us. So there were two big moments of our generation.
Yeah.
That's our generation stuff. Like you
Yeah.
said, the Rodney King, the OJ trial for the older people.
Yeah.
The 80s with the crack pandemic and all that. That's one of our moments.
Zimmerman got away with one, bro. To this day.
Yeah.
To this day, how's nobody caught this man?
I know.
Bro, I said this, I said this last year, bro. Niggas have killed Pop Smoke. Niggas have killed XXXTentacion. Who else? They killed King Von. Who else did they kill?
Nip.
They killed Nip. They killed They killed Dolph. And George Zimmerman is out here running around in these streets, throwing it in our face that he killed this nigga. And I'm looking at everybody, I'm like, yo, like, niggas' priorities is effed up. It's like, do I want to do? All right, I'm going to do this real quick. We have all these street rules. Niggas join gangs. The original point of gangs was to sit here and to protect the community. Yeah. Protect the little niggas like Trayvon. We wasn't supposed to kill the rappers and all these other people that are helping the community. That's not gangster, nigga. And now all of a sudden, you got a man who is here running around deliberately showing us, yo, that we kill whatever, and y'all have not done nothing to him. And it's kind of like a slap in our face as African Americans where it's like, yo, like, this man is really walking around with his nuts hanging out like, yo, I killed this man. What y'all going to do? Nobody has done anything yet, but we've killed the people who have been trying to make the community better.
And they can touch him if they want to touch him. But they just
that's the whole point. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Niggas could really go after him. I'm not going to sit here and go and deep dive into that because I don't know who be watching this. But it's really like, if y'all really wanted to catch him on a good day and not get caught, y'all could catch him on a good day and not get caught. That's all I got to say on that, man.
Facts. Well, let's jump into the Face of the Future song of the day presented by NBT Network. If you're listening to us, you can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube, where all our video content is held. All platforms, subscribe, follow at NBT Network. The Face of the Future song of the day comes from a rising artist out of New Jersey. He goes by the name 3 Breezy. And the song we're going to play today is Message to Her. Once again, this is 3 Breezy, Message to Her. 3 Breezy, Message to Her. 3 Breezy, Message to Her. Rising artist out of New Jersey. Nice little vibe there.
That don't sound like fire.
Yeah, facts.
You know me, I'm in my feelings still, so don't sound real good.
You ever gonna get out your bag? You gonna be in your bag for a minute? How
How
you really feeling?
I'm cooling.
Okay.
Yeah. You know me, man. I
You know
mean,
what I'm saying? Guys don't really talk about stuff like that. You feel me? About how they
give me like another like couple weeks, I'll be Gucci. We're
gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that one pod.
Talk about it later.
But some other chilling news that happened in our world today. Another school shooting. So in Oxford, Michigan, I think it was Oxford High. There was a shooting where there was three deaths and 1 injury. And I think a high school football player died trying to disarm the shooter. And he was all over like Barstool Sports, ESPN, things of that nature. They were showing a tribute to him as well. And the school shooter's name was Ethan Crumbly. And they said he had like journals. They found his journals, his messages, things of that nature. So I just want you guys to react on 1, another school shooting. 2, is there any way we can prevent this type of thing from happening? And 3, how would you feel if you were in that situation as a student? Because there were Snapchats that came out. Kids running from the door as he was trying to act as a cop, things of that nature. So I just want you guys to react and just give your thoughts on the news.
Well, the first thing for me was I wasn't surprised at all. This is like a normal thing now.
And he looked like one too.
So when I saw this come across, when I saw this come across my phone, I wasn't even like, well, of course I was like, oh my God, that's terrible. But then I was like, it's another day, another day in the life. You know what I mean? What could done to be to prevent it? I've always been someone that's wanted to have armed security in schools for people that are qualified to have it, like retired veterans. I think that's a good way to keep them employed. 1, and to make sure that kids are protected so shit like this doesn't happen. Metal detectors as well in schools, even in the suburbs.
Yeah.
I don't think, it shouldn't just be in schools that are in bad areas.
I agree.
Because, growing up in the burbs, we know kids used to be, selling that shit in high school as well. You know what I'm saying? Bringing 100%. A whole book bag full of that shit in.
And they wouldn't even check because they didn't think nothing would happen.
Nobody would ever know because you walking right through the school as soon as you come in. And how would I feel? I mean, at that point, you go into survival mode. You know what I mean? So you just want to get out and get out safe. Something I used to always think about at school, I always try to sit by the window just in case some shit like that goes down. I'm about to get out this bitch.
Yeah, I ain't waiting.
I'm not about to sit in no school in the room with the door closed. I'm trying to get the fuck. And you can see in one video that I saw, when he was at the door acting like a cop, they all eventually they was like, nah. He said, bro.
He said, bro.
We need to get out the window. He said, nah. We need to get out the window. So my last thing on this is what I think about all the time, not even just regarding this, but regarding everything that I see with like in today's day and age. I'm like, what kind of world am I going to be bringing children into? You know what I'm saying? Because that's like a concern of mine. When I see how these kids are with their social medias, how their dating is, everyone, is looking for someone to date online. That's just one facet of it. And then you got these school shootings that are becoming like more and more and more common. So it's like, what kind of world am I bringing my children into, and how do I, as a father, protect them? Because I'm not gonna be able to protect them at all times. So what do you do as a parent? And I can't imagine being a parent and getting a notification that there's a shooting at my kid's school.
What?
You know what I'm saying? I wonder how you instantly go into panic mode, and as a parent, I'm sure you can't help but think the worst. You know what I mean? Because you just don't know.
You don't know which kid. You say you don't know which kid got hit. You don't know who's doing what. You don't know. You feel me? And it's just like, yeah, I have the same sentiments when it comes to that. It's like, one, you definitely at this point in time, bro, there needs to be security at every school.
Yep.
Like, we had like one officer that walked around the school, but I still don't think that's enough. Like, on kicks for the size of our school, size of our campus, just going from like, because that's what we know. Even these other schools that are having, these are big schools that things are happening at, and it's like, you should have people to prevent that from happening.
So how did he get the gun?
I have no idea.
His father got it, right? It was his father's gun.
Probably, I assume.
You said it was his father's gun,
His father had just got it.
What kind of gun was it?
I don't remember.
I didn't look at like the type of
that
gun.
jacket is fire though.
Yeah,
that shit's smooth.
But nah, what was your point in that? Is like,
my point is that like this is. I just hate this shit because it's annoying because we all know what the issue is. The issue is that these kids have access to these guns, right?
Yep.
And it's like it's not even the fact that like you have access to like a handgun, right? It's the fact that you have access to a semi-automatic rifle. I'm just going to assume he used a semi-automatic rifle, because in most of the cases that's what these people be using.
Yep.
All these people have access to semi-automatic rifles. You don't need access to that. Even if you use it as a hunting excuse, you don't use semi-automatic rifles to hunt a fucking deer, whatever you want to eat, whatever. You don't use it. Like, you just have it just to say, yo, I got a semi-automatic in case some shit go down. And even now in 2021, what type of shit is really going to go down where you actually have to shoot someone with a semi-automatic rifle?
Nothing.
Like, not for nothing. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, and this is what I mean, where it's like, and I'll say this is a bit of a race issue too, because let's look at it like this. We sit here and we condone a lot of people who live in lower economic neighborhoods that have guns.
It was a 9mm, yeah.
Oh, it was a 9?
Yeah.
Okay, let me shut the hell up then. All right, then.
I just had to look it up because I was curious.
Because I was about
to. But still, that ain't no slouch.
No, it's not no slouch. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know I got to change my whole take. I got to change.
It's gonna still blow your whole wig back.
Yeah, the 9.
No, I think you should go on the take that you continue to go, because it's like most of the times it is those type of weapons.
Yeah, most of the time it's an AR-15.
Yeah, like for me, like, I mean, the point is what I was going to say is that, like, y'all shouldn't have access to these guns, because my thing is now you have access to a semi-automatic rifle. This is how these kids get injured. This is how 15 kids get injured. This is how 20 kids get injured. We shouldn't have access to them because all these kids be having access to these guns, and it's stupid. Like, look at the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Granted, whatever happened. But when me and Julian were talking about that shit, apparently Wisconsin basically had some rules where technically him obtaining the gun wasn't illegal. I didn't look up the rules, but him being able to obtain that gun at 17 years old doesn't make no sense. It makes zero sense. Yeah. Having a 9mm, okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying? That's for protecting. No.
His dad just bought it.
That's what I'm saying. His dad probably just bought the gun. It's this type of, he probably used it for protection. That's fine. I get that. But now let me break this down for some shit that I really think is another issue that we need to talk about. I think that a lot of times this is a weird kind of thought, but we gotta also blame the workplace and how it kind of takes away our ability to really connect with our children and see what they're dealing with. Because what happens,
talking about the schools,
not just schools and workplace, the whole shebang. Because it's like when we live in a capitalist system where you get paid and you have to work extra, you have to do this and we have to do all these different things, right? Which is fine. But what you understand is that now because we work so much, kids get neglected. We talk about this all the time. We're growing up in a society where it's like we're not as connected as we're easily as connected as much as we are disconnected to the real world. And so for now, because you have the situation, we have to be more cognizant of the fact of, we have kids that are growing up in an age that we didn't grow up in. We have to have more of a connection with these kids. So now imagine these kids growing up on the internet, the only friends you have is on League of Legends or the metaverse or any of these different things. Now your dad is working 8 to 10 hours a day because, he's probably a manager somewhere or he's probably a supervisor somewhere and he's probably not coming home till 6, 7 o'clock. By the time that is, Johnny's probably up in his room playing League of Legends with his friends or his friends. Yep. And now you don't know what he's going through in high school. You don't know all the things that he's going to because, by the time it's 8, 9 o'clock, you want to eat, go to bed. And so why this is a problem.
Especially being an athlete because he come home from practice, and he got to shower, he got to do his homework.
Yeah, and I looked at his face, I could tell that man was not an athlete, or he probably was. He probably got no burn, but it's like it's one of those situations where it's, I'm roasting him because you shot 3 kids, bro. Like I have no sympathy for you, but it's like,
do you think it's also on the parents to do a good job of making sure that the kids don't know where the fucking guns in the house are, or how to take one?
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
But my thing is like this, right? Your son is leaving for school. You probably leave before him. I assume, or take him to school. That should be something that you do a daily check of every morning, at least, to make sure that shit is where it's supposed to be. Because you couldn't have that in the boat before it even happened and be like, where's the gun? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Search this shit simple and plain. Where's the gun? Because it ain't where it was. You can't leave shit laying around kids like that for that exact reason, like you're saying. Because you don't know what be going through kids' head if you don't have a good relationship with them. He might just see that shit and just snap one day.
And that was the biggest point I was gonna say. It's like if you don't know your kids, you like when shit happens, like, oh my gosh, Tyler would never do that or Trevor would never. But it's like you don't know your kids enough to know whether or not what they're gonna do. Bro. Yeah, bro.
Nobody.
And it's like that's the number one thing you gotta understand is like at the core, I'm gonna use this for all kids. All kids need love, and it's like a lot of times these kids be going through some bullshit, and it's like I'm gonna be honest, they go through some bullshit, and they need love because a lot of these kids grow up in an environment where it's like your parents aren't really home because they work all the time, and the second longest place where they go to where they learn social skills is school. Mm-hmm. So it's like now when you in a place where your son is you have to be aware of that because like I said, the 2 places where they're going to learn their social skills is either at home or in school. Mm-hmm. And if in school, they're not, how do I say this? Socially assimilating, I guess that's the best way to say it. If they're not blending in well with students or they're not getting along well with students, you as a parent have to know where they're missing the mark at, because if you're not, shit like this happens. Right. And I'm not saying this because he doesn't have no gear, whatever. Like that's not even it. I'm just saying this from a standpoint of you need to understand where their head is at, because that's the number one most important thing about parenting. Like you have to raise these kids up in a healthy way, whatever way you can. Whether if it's 1 day, 2 days out of the week where you sit down, you hang out with your son or your daughter or whatever, because those things are important.
Very important.
Because it's like now that's how you prevent shit like this. You know what I'm saying?
And also, you talk about social skills and where they learn stuff. Like you said, if there's no parenting or your parents aren't around, and just take the gun away from a situation. Once like the school, like where the kids either tease you, make fun of you in the clique, you whatever it is, you're getting treated a certain way, and then they learn how to react from stuff from the internet or, like you said, the games they play on the regular basis. Like you said, if all your friends are on Call of Duty, I'm talking about or Grand Theft Auto or something like that, it's like, oh, such and such talking, I'm gonna go murk him. That thing resonates in your brain.
Or shit that happens to kids, like you saw the situation that happened like with the high school kid in Wall, where it was like a hazing situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you see why a kid would snap and go, want to shoot a school. I don't know if y'all ever seen the Netflix show 13. I think it was called 13 Reasons Why.
13 Reasons Why.
Remember the bull that pulled up to the AR because the bulls raped him with the broom.
Yeah.
And he came back to the prom with the AR. Yep. You know what I'm saying? You gotta check on your kids when shit like that happens. You know what I'm saying? Because they just want blood at that point.
But here's the thing, though. I'll speak on that because it's like one of the things that you also have to understand is that a lot of times, a lot of those kids don't speak on the shit that be happening to them. Unless they really, 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 really hurt or some shit really, really, really is bothering them where it's like they have to say something, they not gonna say nothing. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not like if something like that were to happen, unless they bleeding or they got black eye, something's visible on them, they not saying nothing. They're just gonna go right up to their room.
Facts.
And it's like you gotta understand that it's like you're 100% right in that, Shannon. But it's like
you gotta check in.
Yeah, you got to check in because it's like a lot of these.
That's why I think that, at least for me being a parent going forward, one thing that I'm going to make sure that we do no matter what is we're going to have dinner at the table every single night.
Yeah.
No TV, no nothing. We're going to have a conversation. What's going on with you? What's going on? How can I help you? You know, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? You have to have that time because a lot of times, especially us being, as like we said, our parents are working late. We're not getting home till 6:30, 7 o'clock. Sometimes we want to go shower, do a homework, go to bed. But you still got to make sure that you have that time for these exact reasons. Yeah. And I feel like us knowing that, and especially in today's day and age, is going to benefit us in that regard when it comes to that time.
Yeah, I think that as a parent, that's one of the things I actually want to look forward to. That's why I do want to be like, and not to make it about, that's one of the biggest things that I've been trying to find in a person or a woman, because I want to raise a healthy, like my biggest dream, honestly, and it sounds really, really corny, is like I want to have a great family. Like I want to have a family.
Not corny at all.
Like I want to have a family that it's like, yo, like you kind of just see where it's like my kids can come to me about anything, whether it's girl advice, money advice, all that stuff, where it's like nothing is really a taboo topic, because it's not my parents' fault. But I come from a culture where you can't talk about sex, you can't talk about certain things with your parents, and the only way they talk to you about it is like, yo, don't do that. Focus on your education. And it's like, that's not the best way to do things, because it's like, at the end of the day, yeah, you're going to have all this book smarts, but you don't have no social skills. And that affects a lot of things that you end up doing. Yep. And for me, I don't want my kids to be in a situation, well, obviously not because they're going to be fly as hell, but it's like, I don't want to be in a situation where it's like, yo, my kids get made fun of in school because they act weird, or because they may want to play League of Legends or play Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to feel weird for being different. Cause
or even that, like you said, like, to piggyback, even if the argument made from you got to remind them that it's okay that you like different stuff than everybody else. Just because someone else doesn't like it doesn't mean you're weird for it. They're weird because maybe they like. Some people think people that all they do is play sports are weird as hell. Like
people think we weird as fuck for being athletes.
Yeah,
and hated you for it.
Yeah, it's just like everybody likes what they like at the end of the day. And just to piggyback back off of what both of you guys said, I think that starts, because obviously none of us are parents yet, but like we're getting to those stages, getting closer and closer to those moments in time. It's like you have to build that culture in your family, in your household from the jump. Like you said, with the right partner that you choose, letting them know like this is how things should be. Like when we start having kids, and then when you do start having kids, practicing that every single day. Remain consistent with it.
I will say also, one of the other things that I do think is another issue is that I could be wrong, but I don't think that kid had another sense of community. Like if there's another thing that I've realized, it's like, for me growing up in like through elementary school, undergrad, whatever, it's like I always had different communities. Like I had y'all, you know what I mean? I had my friends that I had in high school, but, you know, I had my church friends. I had my other friends that weren't my church friends, kids that I grew up with. And it's like all these different things. We all like different things. So for me, it ended up being a situation where being different was fine. Like, I liked anime. There was a lot of people in high school at the time, they were like, yo, why the fuck does Toby watch fucking Naruto and fucking One Piece? You know what I'm saying? But my homies at church were like, yo, I love One Piece or I love Naruto. Like, and so for me, it gave me a sense of belonging where it's like, oh, you don't fuck with that? All right, fine. Like, you know, me and my friends gonna go watch Naruto and do all that stuff over here. So it made me feel as if, to an extent, even though y'all may not like that stuff, I have other people that like it. And so why that ends up becoming important is because now when you feel like you have a sense of belonging, you don't feel weird and you're not necessarily as angry because it's like, yo, they just don't like that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's another thing that's super important with kids growing up, that you got to introduce them to different communities. Because even taking him out, even people that look at other people like, yo, you're weird for liking that stuff, it's like, yo, like, you may not open your mind up to something that could be cool. Like now, anime is this super hot topic thing that everybody loves. You know what I'm saying? Right. But it's like not for nothing, and I'm not mad about it. But when I was in high school or I was in middle school, I was like, yo, I love Naruto or I love these, and I was like, yo, why do you watch that shit? Like, why do you? It's like now it's like everybody loves Squid Game, and there's elements of Squid Game in anime. You know what I'm saying? Facts. And I'm saying that for a sense of like, yo, like the whole point of what we're trying to say is that all this stuff where opening people up to different perspectives, obviously keeping guns in a place where your kids ain't gonna be able to get it or whatever, and just checking in with your kids is just gonna be able to, I'm not saying it's gonna be able to automatically prevent everything, but these are good surefire ways to make sure that your kids are mentally healthy.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So it's important.
And before we close this out, my biggest thing is, and I see this all the time from like not necessarily like my family or community, whatever. It's like I'm a big advocate. Don't shelter your kids. Like let them get exposed to, in my opinion, as much as they can. I mean, you only can protect them so much, but you know what I'm saying, they got to learn on their own
and let them fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing. I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't shelter your kids. Let them, because the ones that you know, like you probably have friends in college, because you know what I'm saying, we all come to. It's like, damn, you can tell this person ain't never been out of the house because they out here wild,
tripping.
You feel me? They out here tripping. They doing this and that or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But when you got to college, all of us, when we got to college, because we were in high school, bro. We was at parties, you was doing what we had to do, you know what I'm saying, drinking, whatever it was. And so when we got to college, we've been there before we did that, so it's like, it ain't nothing new. We're not going to go out there and wild and embarrass our family at the end of the day. You know
I seen that happen to two people that I know. Like, they drank for the first time at like 20. And that was the first. And I saw them. Granted, they were in a closed environment around people, you know, that cared about them. But I was just looking at them. I'm looking up like, yo, like, y'all never drank before, and y'all acting like this. Like, granted, like, everybody has they, like, you know, they incidents when they first start drinking. But I'm like, y'all acting like this. Like, they on the floor, and I'm like, bro, like, you had one cup, and it wasn't even that much. And I'm like, yo, y'all acting like this. Like, come on now. Like, and I was just like, nah. Thank God I was there because I know them personally, but I was like, if I wasn't there, I'd just, nah.
Facts. But let's close out the pod with sports, man. And you know where I'm going with this, Shann. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start? You want to start with Ohio State? And all the hail to the victors, or where do you want to start?
Yo, I was gonna go to that game too. Damn, I should have went.
I mean,
so let me ask you this: how are you feeling? Because I was texting you a little bit throughout the game.
We was texting the whole time.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. There's a couple moments where you went silent, like, this man about to. He realizes the fate.
Yeah, bro. I knew it. I felt it early.
Yeah,
I felt it early in the game. So Ohio State lost to Michigan for the first time in 10 years.
Yep. On the banks of the old Raritan. On the banks.
And the first time in a decade. I mean, this was by far, for me, the hardest loss I've endured as a football fan, and I don't even know how long, bro. This is probably the worst I felt since the 06 beatdown of Florida over Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Definitely the worst football day I've had in a long time, bro. In a long time. And I wasn't truly angry because I was like, yo, they just got beat, yo. They just got punched in the mouth and they didn't respond. You know, they didn't respond. So it was funny. It was so funny because Saturday, everybody besides my dad left me alone. My dad was the only one that sent me the Michigan flag and shit early in the day. But
shout out Gil,
so you know what I mean? So I mean, me and you talked, but you didn't say nothing. Nobody rubbed it in, which I appreciated because I would have been upset.
It would have been mad. I already knew what time you was feeling it. So
I was. And and so even Kaylee didn't, you know, she knew I was upset, but she didn't say anything about it to me on Saturday. So on Sunday, when we're eating dinner, she asked me about the game, and for like 25 minutes straight, I was upstairs just wilding, bro. Because and after I was done talking to her, I said, "Thank you for letting me get that out," because I really had to get it out. Because like all Saturday, my day was fucked up. All Sunday at work, it was all I could think about. So it hurt. It definitely hurt for them to lose to Michigan of all teams. I would have had them have lost last week.
Yeah,
they lost to Michigan for the first time in 10 years. They won 29 straight conference games.
That was Ryan Day's first loss?
Ryan Day's first conference loss in 3 fucking years. Mm-hmm. Think about that. 3 years. First conference loss in 3 years. Mm-hmm. Eliminated from the playoffs. So essentially why it was also so hard for me was because their season ended on that day, and I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
Like, they have no Big Ten championship.
None.
They'll play in some bowl game, but it won't mean anything because they're not in the playoff.
Yeah.
You know, and I expect them to be in the playoff or at least in the mix. And I wish I didn't feel that way. I wish I didn't get so upset about them every single year. But I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan.
Like you said, I think it's the Michigan because they lost to Michigan.
Because it was Michigan, bro. It hurt. Like, then these Michigan fans really think that they're like on the same level now. When really, you know, they just took advantage of, the game, the situation, 115,000 people. It was snowing. I told you this is the perfect weather for this game. It was like it was an incredible atmosphere.
The atmosphere is crazy.
And you got to give it up to Jim Harbaugh, and then for finally getting over the hump, and give up to Michigan because they played a fantastic fucking game.
The thing y'all couldn't do, you couldn't stop. I said that from the guys. Couldn't stop the run, and your O line and D line got dominated
the whole game. And and so do you, Moose. Being somebody that plays in the front seven, and I know from playing and also being an umpire that's only watching offensive line, defensive line. That's where the game is won.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if your running back is because Trevion Henderson is a better running back than the running back on Michigan.
Yeah.
But they couldn't stop the run, and also Ohio State. You have 11 penalties.
Yeah, they was wild.
That hurts, and then you have 4 sacks. You know what I'm saying?
Your quarterback looked rattled because
he was rattled because the pressure.
He ain't played in the cold before like that.
Never played in the cold, and he never dealt with pressure like that before. The pressure of the environment, the 115,000 people strong, and it's crazy, and it's snowing. It's snowing, and you got 2 first-round defensive ends that are killing your D tackles. You got a running back that can't get past the second level. And then on the other side, like I told you, all I saw was offensive linemen blocking linebackers.
Yeah, just pancakes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Michigan scored. They didn't punt in the second half
at all.
Ohio State had a chance they were down 8. They had a chance to get the ball back and go score. Michigan went right down the field, scored.
You guys went halftime down 8, right? Was it? Or no, you down 1.
Yeah,
you got the ball back.
It didn't score.
Didn't do anything.
So then I knew it was a wrap. I knew it was a wrap from when Michigan got the ball. They went right down the field like it was scored. On the ensuing kickoff, the Ohio State kid went to fair catch it, but the ball bounced and he catches it at like the 6. They get the ball at the 6.
Yeah.
With the Michigan student section right behind them in their other end zone. So it's loud. They had false start penalties. It was just so from then they never could get it going. They never got it going. Yeah. They got punched in the mouth. They didn't respond and they lost. And that shit hurt.
I ain't got nothing to say on that one.
He said that shit hurt.
That shit hurt, bro.
All I know is I could have gone to that game because my cousin asked me if I wanted to go, so I was in Ohio.
I would have went to that
game.
I
was gonna go to it too. I was talking about going to it with my crew chief. You know, we just had some preliminary talks about it, and we was like, I don't know, because after last week, I'm like, they about to run these niggas next week, and then I saw it. I'm like, the line is only 8. That's a little bit concerning for me. Then I saw it snowing, and then Michigan played their best game of the year by far.
Yeah, they were. You could tell they were.
They were ready.
That was their championship.
Yeah.
Fuck the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Was the championship.
Yeah, that was their one.
And Harbaugh, I'm happy for Harbaugh. He finally got over the hump. They always said he can't beat Ohio State. That was a big knock. He can't win any rivalry games. But
1-5.
Yeah, he's 1-5. But I'm saying you got to give it to him though.
Yeah,
because I think this was the years like his job was on the his job was on the line.
Yeah, he had to
if he didn't win this, it's over for him.
Yeah, he had to.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, at the end of the day, Michigan just was the better team, bro.
Yeah, it was their day, bro. It was definitely their day, and I can't even be like, y'all ass, because I mean, y'all punched them Ohio State in the mouth, and they didn't respond.
The running back had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, bro. He had all their touchdowns.
That's what I'm trying to say. This is like
that's how you know they were dominating. The offensive line was just dominating.
And the thing that stood out, there's 2 things that stood out to me the most is like that second drive that I think Michigan had. And the kid threw the pick in the red zone.
Yeah,
Harbaugh's like, I'm just going to work.
Yeah, I'm going to
go work. See, I know we're not throwing the ball no more. We're just going to run it down and throw it. Can't stop us. And then at the end of the game, the last touchdown that the running back had, the Ohio and you guys were down. I think only 7 at the time.
It was down 8.
You were down 8. It was in the red zone. They just had a long run, and the running back from Michigan State took a handoff off tackle. The linebacker was in the hole. He stepped to the side. He didn't want no smoke. Yep. And I was like, and that's when you texted me and said. All I see is linebackers getting pancaked the whole game. That was a telltale story. He didn't want no more pressure, bro.
And you know how it is being a linebacker.
Oh yeah.
When a team's pounding on you, by the time you get to the fourth quarter,
you don't want
it's freezing cold.
Yeah, you don't want that contact.
And he coming downhill.
Yeah.
That contact feel a little different in the fourth quarter than you do in the first. Your adrenaline not going as much in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? So it's either you want it, you don't. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it is what it is. Sorry for your loss, man.
Yeah,
Maybe next year. Better luck next year. But a lot of other stuff have been happening in college football
that
as well.
That one really hurts.
Let's talk about not the Georgia game. Let's talk about Alabama and how they got away with one real quick. Well, did you watch any of that game? Alabama.
Oh yeah, Auburn. Yeah, I thought Auburn had him on the ropes.
Nah, I didn't watch it.
The new overtime rules change a lot.
I don't like it.
I'm not a fan of it either. That changed a lot in that game. Auburn had him on the ropes. I mean, Auburn had the game won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But give credit to Bama because they showed up on the road.
Facts.
And, won the game late, so give credit to them. I think this game against Georgia is really going to tell a lot because Georgia has not seen a team like Alabama all year.
Yeah.
So
vice versa.
It's gonna depend on how Georgia's gonna respond to getting hit.
Yep.
Like they haven't been hit all season.
Gotcha.
Now you say what you want to say about Bama. Yeah, they haven't been blowing everybody out, but they've been winning.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see how Georgia responds when they get punched in the mouth and they face a competent defense.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Let me get y'all picks real quick. Georgia or Bama?
Georgia.
I'm gonna go with Georgia, but I'm going with like it's 2 to 3 points.
I think
Same.
I think Bama's gonna win and both SEC teams gonna get in.
I think it's gonna be close. Well, never mind. I'm not even gonna go into my hypotheticals because there's too many things that have to happen. But I think it's gonna be a very close game, and I think it'll be 2 to 3 points either way.
Yeah, I'm just go with Bama, because I think Nick Saban, he's just been there, bro, and I don't think he's lost his predecessors ever.
He's only lost to Jimbo this year.
Jimbo was this year.
Yeah.
Okay, that was. But I think he'll be prepared. I think they're gonna be
He'll
prepared.
definitely have him ready to go.
So it's the granddaddy of the conference championships. And then it's to close this segment. Let's talk about all the coaching changes that's happened, all the transfers that have happened. I just want to give your thoughts on, get both of your guys' thoughts on how you feel about coaches being able to leave with free will and players not being able to. Well, they can now, but
yeah, players can.
But the flexibility is a little different at the same thing. Because coaches, the reason I say this is because when a player wants to transfer, the university has to still clear them to be able to go to certain universities.
Yeah, so, but that's kind of going out the wayside for the most part, and another part of it is kids don't have to sit out for a year anymore. Now kids are transferring and playing immediately. Yeah, and now kids are also getting paid. Yeah, making $600,000 a year in college. That's so nice. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's the business, bro.
$600,000.
Yeah. Do you guys like the culture though? Like my thing is this, because the big knock on like these kids nowadays is like, oh, if they're not playing their first year, they want to get up and go instead of just going through the growing pains and developing as one man and then players in general.
It depends on it. Honestly, you got. I get what you're saying, but it honestly depends on your goals as a student. Like, and I feel honestly, personally, I could be wrong on this. I feel like probably within like your first 1.5 years of you actually playing, if you're going to determine if you either want to go to the league or can go to the league. You know what I'm saying? And I think that based off that should be able to determine your goals. Like you should know yourself. Taking ego out of it, you should know yourself, right? And it's like if you know, right? For example, you going to Alabama. A school that produces really good running backs. You're going to sit for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is that if you really want to go to the league, but you want to go and you know that you really like that, then transfer if the endorsements don't mean nothing to you. You know what I'm saying? But if you know that you not like that, and probably you sitting for a bit, but at most you probably going to be second or third string, bro, it's really not that deep for you. You know what I mean? So I think that going forward, it really all depends on what you want, because at the end of the day, even if you start playing for the rest of your time, you second or third string, you still gonna get some good endorsements. You know what I'm saying? So it really all depends on who you are as a person. You gotta know yourself. It's the number one thing, because you still gonna get that bread.
I'm not mad at either one of them coaches for leaving. I get it. I mean, for Lincoln Riley, he's already landed the best running back recruit in the country. Yeah. USC about to go up.
And it's the best market.
USC is about to go up, bro.
That's the market you want to be in, period.
Pac-12, all that, they're about to win the state of California, which has all of its best players some of the best players in the entire country have all been leaving. He's about to win the state of California. They're going to win a championship within the next 5 years. Yep. Just because of sheer talent. Also, Brian Kelly going to LSU.
He's going to win LSU?
I think he's going to win LSU. One, Ed Orgeron can recruit. So the team he has there now might be able to win a national championship within the next 2 or 3 years, in my opinion. He's also going to win the state of Louisiana. Louisiana has the most players in the NFL ever, period. They have the most NFL bodies. So he's going to win the state of Louisiana. He'll be able to compete with the Bamas. Also, Notre Dame just hired a black coach, which is former Buckeye, which I'm happy for. At a university like Notre Dame to have a black coach, I think good for them as well.
Facts. So I think he'll do well as well. I think
he'll do well as well. And the players advocated for him to get the job. Yep. So I don't get mad at these guys for leaving and taking better opportunities, bro. What would you do? Somebody throws $100 million in your face.
I'm going.
You know what I'm saying? And I think Brian Kelly got like 120.
120.
You know, or something like that.
You saw the reports of Lincoln Riley's buyout or whatever. They bought both of his cribs in Oklahoma. They paid him, I think it was like $100 million.
And he got the private plane.
And he got the private plane to use whenever he wants to.
Yep.
What would you do?
Everyone can live in LA.
Everyone wants to say all this shit. Oh, I can't believe we do that. Yo, somebody throws $100 million in your face, bro. you're not going to turn that down.
You know the type of low key perks they get too. Son? Like
the booster bread, all that stuff.
Not even just the booster bread. I'll say it like this. Like I remember the time that the Migos had came to Rutgers and nobody was supposed to know. The Migos came. I don't know whose house they performed at, but the whole team was there. They got it on video. The whole team was there. The Migos was there performing, and I'm looking like, yo.
Oh yeah, those type
these
of
niggas. I'm like, nigga, what?
Yeah.
The Migos is like 20 minutes from. Niggas is 20 minutes from Rutgers,
right?
And the Migos is right there, and niggas just ain't nothing. I'm like, I should have played corner or something back in high school or something. I was sitting here worried about playing running back behind Ray Laurie. I should have played corner. Like, what the hell? I was sick.
He both say he should have found a way on the squad.
He said, let me give you a walk on. Let me get my back
pedal. I'm like, what? Nigga, I would have played like slot or something. Like, I'm 5'7". Like, I got a little bit of muscle on me. I could have caught something. Like, I was heated. Man.
That's bro. Which coach do you think wins it out of the three big new hires? Which coach do you think gets a natty first? Lincoln Riley, the coach from Notre Dame. I forget his name. What's his last name? Mason? I forget his first name.
I think it's Lincoln Riley.
I just had it.
But it's all good. But Lincoln Riley, Brian Kelly, or the new hire at Notre Dame?
Lincoln Riley.
I want to say Lincoln Riley too because I think that they're about to just dominate California, bro. He already has the number one quarterback in the country coming in next year and the number one running back. They're about to just take over California, bro.
You think it's about to be like that Reggie Bush, Matt
Definitely, bro. Again? Definitely. Plus with the NIL, you could probably make the most bread as a college athlete in LA.
Without a doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
You'll be millionaires in college.
Yeah, exactly.
They're in New York, bro.
It's gonna be crazy, bro. It's gonna be
that
crazy.
boy about to be living. He don't got to worry about nothing. He gonna be eating good.
Bro.
He gonna pay for God.
And this, I mean, Lincoln Riley might eventually just go down as one of the best coaches, of this generation because he did what he did at Oklahoma, 3 Heisman Trophy guys, which is unheard of. Back to back. Then he's gonna do well at USC. And then he's going to eventually move to the pros.
You think he's going to go to the pros?
Definitely, bro. He's definitely going to move to the pros
right?
eventually.
40, late 30s?
Young guy.
Yeah. Man. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see. And I think my last question was this. Since Lincoln Riley left, right? All these players are transferring out of OU, and OU just went to the SEC. Do you think they're about to get dominated?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, because
slow bucks for them, huh?
They're not built as a team, even presently constructed now, they're not built as a team to compete in the SEC, bro.
Yeah.
They don't have the players.
Yeah.
Big 12's all about speed and offense. And SEC, you got to play defense. And you have any given defense, you have at least 5 NFL bodies.
Yeah.
Not necessarily first round pick,
minimum.
But at least 5 first round bodies.
Minimum. Yeah, you said first round.
I mean NFL bodies.
No, you're right. A lot of the SEC's probably, I'll say first 3 rounds. They have
that's what I'm saying. Like, not necessarily first round, but you have at least 5 NFL bodies on each defense, no matter what school it is.
Without a doubt. Yep. But
I didn't even know Oliveira and Poirier were fighting next week. Oh damn, them niggas about to get busy.
But I'm glad I got to get it off my chest.
Facts. Well, if y'all don't got anything else, that's all I got for episode 74 of the Face of the Future podcast. It's your boy Millz.
It's your boy Shann.
It's your boy man Moose.
Peace. Oh my God, is that the Faces of the Future? Faces of the Future?